To our next discussion. In an era where technology has continued to take a lead role in global development, the intersection of information technology as well as the Internet of Things and governance is becoming increasingly pivotal in shaping the future of nations, including Nigeria. Technology has been identified as a tool to drive economic growth, create job opportunities, and foster innovation, which is a major step to a country's development. Here in Nigeria, where smartphone penetration has surged to over 40% of the population, is also expected to hit 60% by the year 2025. The digital transformation presents both opportunities and challenges for governance practices. So the fusion of IT and IoT, that's the Internet of Things, with governance processes holds immense potential to drive efficiency, transparency, and innovation in Nigeria's public sector, but that's if properly utilized, and that's what we want to talk about. We bring in now to the studio to discuss this further the Group Executive Director, Tranta IT IoT Africa Network. She's also a marketing communications expert, Melanie Ayoola. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. But let's begin, on a broader level. When you look at, how you can blend IoT, IT into governance, across the world, and where Nigeria stands.
Okay, so looking at IoT, it's Internet of Things, and those things are everything from the location of publicly provided transport, from the smaller buses to the BRT to the lag bus to keke, napep, to delivery bikes. Let's use that as an example. If I wanted to ensure the safety of passengers, I could essentially use IoT to track every single transport vehicle in the country. And I could have the data of where they are. They would have a location, they would have an identification number, and I would be able to pinpoint where any of these vehicles were. I would also be able to know the flow of traffic in and out of every single local government. That's power because it's data. That data could be used to map traffic flows. It could be used to identify where, for example, a certain vehicle registered to a certain company that delivers or transports might have been the case of an incident that needs to be investigated. So for security reasons, the data that IoT provides is critical to government. Security is one of the things that we expect government to provide always. And we have a robust system of authority here, but where it could be enhanced is in the data of pinpointing where incidents have happened and where maybe some of the factors that had affected that. So you can use IoT to provide the government with data about how the population are utilizing the facilities and the amenities provided for the population. You can use IoT to inform agriculture. You can collect data from every single industry, from oil and gas, transparency on the amount produced, amount stored, amount that has been sold.
That's right.
You can use IoT to give information on weather in every single part of the country. You can inform farmers beforehand, and you can increase national yield of crops. You can use IoT to inform about all animal husbandry, locations of cows, in case of cattle rustling, for example, which was a national issue very intensely, I think last year and the previous years as well. I'm not sure how strong that is currently, but you can find out where any of your assets are, because any non-computerized asset can speak to you with IoT. From street lights that could be solar powered, you can dim them remotely, dim the lights, switch them on, decrease the intensity using IoT. That saves on power. You can also monitor your substations and your power grids, how much is the output from there, and you can monitor how much power was sent to every single local government for powering that area. You can also monitor per house, per estate, the consumption of power, and then that means that you can identify energy theft.
Interesting. That's the way you explain it. Because I've been hearing about Internet of Things,
Yes.
and then we use the internet. We just think, okay, it's just a normal internet. But then the way you explain it shows that it's multifaceted. Like it's like
Across
the
every
totality
industry
of our own entire livelihood. But then, how do you think? Because I know Lagos State is advanced when it comes to adopting technology to the governance system and all of that. But how do you think Nigeria compares globally? Among all its the Committee of Nations?
Globally, the Group Executive Director of IoT Africa Networks Limited, and we are the Sigfox operator for Nigeria, which means that we are responsible for promoting IoT under the Sigfox architecture. We also promote IoT solutions under the LoRa technology. And we also use a GSM technology, which makes us versatile. What I would say is that our presence and the presence of some of our counterparts in the industry shows that IoT is present in Nigeria. And I can confidently say that several Nigerian state governments are strongly considering IoT. There are bids currently out for tender for IoT involving telecommunications, involving water reticulation and supply and billing, involving agriculture, monitoring of growth. There's currently this food insecurity concern nationally, and there has been a very swift action by the government in releasing opportunities to resolve this scenario. And they are strongly looking at IoT. Tranta IT is involved in several opportunities that have IoT. It's what we promote. We own relationships with several OEMs globally. So if global OEMs have an opportunity through companies like ours to play in the Nigerian space, I would say we're doing very well. It just so happens that we are very proud Nigerian company. We play globally, but I'm from Washington State.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
I don't plan on leaving Nigeria for except for holiday or something. But I mean, if you've ever traveled to Kogi State, you would be amazed with the beauty just on the road trip. So I actually don't feel the need to travel out to see beautiful things. However, what we've done is brought in an amazing amount of varieties of sensors and platforms. We train local developers, and we integrate solutions, locally developed platforms with imported sensors. And the idea is that when we have adoption from different state governments, from local governments, and from the private sector as well, there will be enough demand to warrant the manufacturing of sensors or chips if they had reduced from sensors, which can be about this size or this size. It could be reduced to a chip in the future, the way things are going. They're trying to reduce the bulkiness of hardware. But the future is that now that we are currently adopting on a state level, and I can say that at least out of the 36 states, I can say at least confidently 12, I am aware, are actively in conversation that has to do with IoT. For me, that's 30%. And the adoption of IoT globally isn't as strong as we may think. They might be very developed and very more developed than Nigeria, possibly. But I think Nigeria adopts quickly. I think that the economic challenges that we face present an opportunity for fast adoption. I also think that Nigerians being, to me, the most intelligent people in the world, don't waste time getting onto a new thing that's good.
Interesting.
So,
All right.
yeah.
But some of my takeaways from what you've said now include that, okay, about 12 states or so are, interested in the immense opportunities that lie in adopting IoT, I should say. But, one would also say that these states may not have the same financial strength, for example, so they may not all be at the same level of interest or even eventual adoption.
Yes.
But how do you see this, being a challenge, for, the full incorporation of IT and IoT in enhancing governance in Nigeria? Like, what peculiar challenges do you see in, our country, for example?
Challenges. Okay, so I would point out the most obvious one, which is the loss of digital talent, technical talent. And then I would point you to NITDA's program of 3MTT. And it didn't come immediately. We noticed people were exiting the country, but it has come. And we actually have a company called Bullseye Digital Manpower that was created in response to the large numbers of technical talent leaving the country. That's a challenge to the country, because if you have somebody experienced in cloud computing and have gone to another country, they could always work remotely in Nigeria if the opportunity
Absolutely.
arises. However, they're not here to mentor anybody. And their friends and colleagues can't learn from them here, except they're employed and teaching, passing on that information remotely. However, I've often said that JACPA is the best thing that's happened to us. Why? The buzzword Gen Zs. There are a lot of Gen Zs, and the next generation is coming up that need opportunities for employment. So essentially, we've created a gap that's made us open our eyes. And now there are initiatives for lots of youth to be trained. And you find not only the youth, but you find people transitioning from existing careers in insurance, in a supply chain, transitioning into IT, into being a developer, into being an AI specialist, or being a prompt engineer. And these are the new types of courses that we offer and that are available in several other institutions in Nigeria. And because of the gap, which was a challenge, the rise of the training is becoming popular again. So another challenge I think
the people, sorry to butt in, people are actually getting into the training because they feel that this, talking about IT is very lucrative outside of the country. So at the end of the day, some people get trained locally, just like you said, and then they run out of the country. So if you say the training is, getting, traction, do you feel that it is working in our own, it is working for us positively? Okay,
so they might get trained and then they might end up going, and it's just a long train of people out of the country. Right. That's a very valid point. What I think that presents an opportunity for the standards, the wages for technical talent to be reconsidered. We've often found it's difficult to compete with international rates for paying technical talent or compensating technical talent. And, the grass is greener, if the grass is paying more. You want to move for opportunity, for wealth, and be able to send money back home, for example, to pay for treatments for parents. We understand these things. We service 75% or more of the banking and the financial industry, from investment banks to insurance companies. We provide them a lot of IT automation software called Manage Engine. And because of that, we have lots of projects. So when the financial institutions, and this is happening across industries, not just in the financial institutions, when they lose talent, projects stop for a moment. They put on hold. So we get to feel when innovation and development of the private sector especially slows down because of the loss of this talent. So losing talent stops project development, and it stops, it slows down innovation within the private sector. So I can only imagine what it might do in the public sector, because public and private sector kind of are interwoven.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. And I don't know if that was the point you were about to make before that last question, but another concern, even before all of this, let's adopt IoT and IT into governance. Another concern for a while for many internet users, many IT practitioners, is the issue of data privacy and security. I don't know if that is also a big challenge when we come on board fully with this IoT revolution in governance.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point to raise. So working with software, a lot of the solutions we provide, for example, one of my favorite solutions, Log 360, it basically monitors your logs. So if you have folders and files of information in your servers, you have the responsibility, whether a public sector organization or private sector organization, to adequately protect the data within your organization. So just like we have firewalls and we have other several factors of authentication, and we have privileged access management, and we have log monitoring. These are all things that can be utilized. You might find an institution not having enough of these measures in place. They might have one and not all. So a solution manager engine, I mean, we're currently gearing up for an event on the 23rd in Abuja and on the 26th in Lagos for this specific reason. It's called ItGo, and it's important that you know. When you know, then you can make choices to secure data. When you have IoT data coming into your organization, it's coming into a platform via the cloud. Your platform, it has to have security. So you have to have application security.
Yeah.
And when the information comes into the platform and you pass it around, that motion needs to be, you have to protect your files as they're being shared. So you request, I need access to this specific file to prepare for tomorrow's presentation, for example. Some of it is very critical information. I have to encrypt the access, and I have to protect the document. Only you would be able to see it, and when you're done, you lose access once you're finished. So there are solutions that Manage Engine provides that can address this and protect your data. Data can always be protected. Applications can be protected, and data enters files. Files can be protected. There's file server protection. And you can also monitor your firewalls. You can have a firewall, then you can have a firewall monitor.
That's right.
So even your security systems that you put on your data within your organization can be protected. So what we're doing with this outreach in the ItGov by Manage Engine is ensuring that in government, they know all of what we know as our best solutions that are working in the financial sector. And if it's good for the financial sector, that you have everybody's financial records and their revenue and their cash flow literally there as data. If it's good for the financial sector, then we know it is definitely a fantastic option for the government. And in that, you would have everything you need to know about what's happening with your data, where it is, who's accessing it, and who tried to make changes without authorization right in front of you as an alert to as many people as you need to know about that. So what we provide is end-to-end visibility for the private sector and the public sector. And when you have visibility and you have alerts and you can pull reports, you can take action, you can stay one step ahead, and Manage Engine lets you do that. This is what Trans IT has been doing with Manage Engine for 11 years in Nigeria.
That's right. That's
so.
right. So in all of this, and one thing is you have all of these things in place. You have people now getting, buying into it, now utilizing it, and then the essence of this conversation is for you to see how government can, adopt this on a larger scale to the benefits of Nigerians. But then the policies in place, how would you describe, the perspective on the existing policy and regulatory frameworks, which governs IT and IoT in this country?
So what I would have to say about that is that taking NCC, for example, you cannot bring a device that communicates into an area of operation.
Yeah.
So I could have it in my office testing it. But once I want to deploy it, for example, TVC, I must have it approved. It must be tested.
Yeah.
So for the IoT space, for example, you cannot bring an unapproved device that communicates with the cloud, with the internet. You can't bring that in without having it approved, because then you would be breaching compliance regulations. And working with the banking industry, the demand for Manage Engine, for example, the Manage Engine suite of solutions allows you to see what's happening with your data and your IT assets and pull reports. Those solutions in high demand because of the regulations for finance set by CBN. So there are a high amount of demands. The demands on different industries, especially finance, and especially in terms of communications and telecommunications.
That's right.
There are compliance that you have to meet. And you go around and you see what happens when you are not managing your land properly and your payments. You get big red X's if you haven't paid your advertising bills. So we see the evidence of these things, and it's not any government defacing property. It is them enforcing compliance.
That's right.
And enforcing compliance when it comes to data protection is important. You need to have backup. You need to have protection of files. You need to be able to restrict access. You need to be able to, in some cases, save your data locally.
Yeah.
And that's
Rather than
available
just putting
now.
it in the cloud.
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to say? Saving it locally rather than leaving it in the cloud?
Well, we have local data centers, and those are bound to the Nigerian data protection laws. Hosting your data on foreign soil means that you are bound to their laws. That's why we have the Nigerian Data Protection Act.
All right, we will soon go on a break, but just before that cue comes in, let's just quickly look at some of the other peculiarities in the Nigerian system. The civil service, for example, is prone to so much, bureaucracy issues, corruption, and the like. And there's also the fear that, people may not be receptive to this innovation. Now, I just want you to quickly talk about that. Okay, right. That's the cue now for us to go on a break. Please think about that, and then we'll address it when we return. You're watching TVC Breakfast. Stay with us.
We don't like to eat better, more nutritious meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. No cubes. That's the secret. Made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic. And enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious too. That's the cocoa. Let's give it some accolades. Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
The future belongs to the dreamers, to the doers, to those who are not afraid of the side hustle. It's for those who are ready to turn their passion into something big. And to help keep you revitalized and inspired, Top Tea is with you every step of the way. You are made for more. Find your inspiration. Top Tea, big round bags of flavor.
Thank you for staying with us. So we've been talking with Melanie Ayoola in the past couple of minutes, and she is a marketing communications expert. She's also the Group Executive Director of Tranta IT IoT Africa Network, and So it's been said there's a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities when you adopt, or when governments in Africa, Nigeria, to adopt IoT and IT to enhance governance. But of course, there are challenges in the midst of this. And one of them that I asked earlier was about how receptive, from your engagement so far, how receptive do you think they will be? Because there are fears that some people may want to, show some form of resistance to this innovation that will enhance transparency in civil service, for example.
Okay. So briefly, taking us back to the beginning of our Manage Engine experience in Nigeria, it took about 2 years to get the financial industry to look into a brand new solution then. So with anything that is important to you, that's going to have a big impact, it's going to make changes in your process, you're not going to make a quick decision. And if you're taking a very quick decision, then maybe you've already done your research, or you have been instructed to do so. But when it comes into resistance to adoption, there are lots of things that you can do. You can create platforms for information dissemination, just taking government as the example. Companies have to be ready and willing to invest in creating the understanding and the level of comfort that's needed. That's why when I say we're a proud Nigerian company, we're not just like, oh, we're Nigerian, we're proudly Nigerian. It's not just a hashtag.
That's right.
It's something that we invest in. The Nigerian economy is very important to the Tranta Group. And that includes the private sector and the public sector. If you do not create opportunities such as the ItGo Event coming up to disseminate information, you cannot expect a level of comfort. If you haven't taken the time out to go and make presentations, as we did with the NCC in the beginning of the presence of IoT, because we're normally a pioneer in some of the solutions that we bring in, and with IoT, IoT Africa is the pioneer of IoT in terms of a service provider. And we had several sessions with NCC where we shared information and we shed light, and they asked questions, and there was an information exchange there on both sides where we were able to create new ground for understanding. That was time consuming, and it was an investment that we had to make in order to build an understanding with a regulatory body that sets compliance for these things. So those are our stakeholders. So we don't just see government as customers. They are stakeholders, and their advancement is only going to happen when they have understanding, when they see that you are able to provide that service in accordance with their expectations.
That's right.
I know not just anyone can provide services to government. You need to have your taxes paid, you need to have all your documentation, and that means you have to be the kind of company that takes the regulations seriously.
Interesting.
And then you need to make time for them and make sure you're keying into what they need. Some people just say, this is my product, and they want to push it across. You have to create something that works into the agenda of the government. They've publicized these things, and so what we do is we take that on and we work hand in hand, and we develop something around the agenda that they've published.
Right.
That's right. So because of our time, you're actually convening, bringing government together and all of that ahead of you've been alluding to certain events. Could you expatiate on that, and what does it seek to achieve, and what benefit would people definitely derive from that? Because, it's just like I'm in a classroom, you're talking about IT and IoT, since we started this conversation.
Well, I always dreamed of having my own school. So thanks for
you do so
giving
well.
me confidence.
You will do well, don't worry.
Because I've been making some, a lot of notes here since you've been talking, and, it's really interesting.
Yeah, so thank you so much. The ItGov event is the premier government-focused event by Manage Engine in Nigeria. For the past 11 years, Tranta IT, who's the exclusive distributor of Manage Engine, have been working together to develop the market. And we do that through webinars and annual events where we started in 2019, I believe, or 2019, to have events in both Abuja and Lagos as the two hotspots for commercial activity, especially as a lot of government in Abuja. But we wanted to do something special. This is a new regime right now. It's a new presidential cabinet. Things are happening. It's very exciting for us to see some of the engagement and the initiatives and the opportunities that are flying around. And it's a sign that there's a lot of commercial opportunity that's going to be presented to so many companies in Nigeria. Our response is to welcome the new presidency and the new elected governments by creating an offering of information of what we do best and letting them know what we're here to support with the right management of data, with the right software for data management of their projects, of their organizations, and what that would do is increase their productivity. So they can expect to have an increase in productivity of every single member of every MDA, ministry, department, or agency by being able to ensure, for example, with Service Desk Plus, it makes sure any single tool that you have for working is working and that you're able to be as productive as you can be. It makes sure that you can manage patches and updates as often as you need to and manage your IT assets, have the visibility and have that control. So it decreases your overall annual IT expenditure. That's right. So you have more funds to put into new projects and developments, and it makes sure that whoever you have in your Active Directory, your list of people that are registered within your organization, your MDA, are well managed and they're highly productive. So increase of productivity for government would definitely have a positive impact. That's right. So us exposing them to these softwares also gives them the opportunity, as we're going to have different speakers especially from our stakeholders in the IT space, giving us some feedback and a networking opportunity. So we'd hear from them and we'd know how better to serve the public sector. And we already have customers in the public sector. So we're increasing on that and extending ourselves to make sure that the country, Nigeria, has the support it needs when it comes to IT automation software.
Sorry, because of our time, I think we are, fast running out of time. You mentioned Lagos and Abuja.
Yes.
It's just Lagos and Abuja. What about the day that's going to hold? Really.
It's on the 23rd of April in Abuja. Yes, that's next week Tuesday, and it's holding at the Abuja Intercontinental Hotel. And the one in Lagos is happening at 4 Points on the 26th.
Right.
All right. Let's just end with a quick mention or your quick analysis of where we are now in terms of how robust our regulatory framework is. How is it looking like to you operators?
Specifically for IT or for
absolutely,
the country?
Absolutely, within the context of our conversations. Is the legal terrain, is it attractive enough for investment and the likes? Definitely.
There's been a huge amount of investment into especially fintech. So the level of investment in fintech is amazing, and you'll see that from your different kind of payment platforms that have sprung up. Now we have easier and faster ways to process payments. So the payments industry has completely boomed. And I would say you have growth in an industry when you are able to provide that kind of structure that makes allows an organization and an investor to know what to do and how things are being managed. So the evidence of growth in the market, of the number of payment options for the masses, for niche markets, shows that we do have a good structure. Of course, there can be improvements, but when you see different e-businesses and app-based businesses, look at the betting industry, for example. These rely on payment systems. And I like to give a shout out to the Nigerian banks. We are an example in the global space because the banking systems in other countries have learned from us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very good.
Right.
I feel
We've
I'm
run out
thinking.
of time.
Oh, sorry. I'm just thinking that if I want to attend, for instance, how quickly, just very quickly, less than a minute, because I understand it, but I fell in love with what you said, and I feel I want to attend. So how do I attend? I just go to the venue and I enter. Everyone is welcome.
So the event is focused on IT professionals, IT managers, CIOs, IT admins, whose job is to manage data and to provide reports and ensure that the company's service is up and service availability is up. So that's our focus. We don't restrict attendance, but it would speak very well to those that work in IT, in the digital space, those in charge of innovation and digital economy, those the IT directors, IT managers, and who operate the systems, who are system integrators internally, or IT administrators. So those are the people that really take a lot from this.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Melanie, Ayoola, we thank you very much for all these points that you have made, and we wish you a successful outings at your Lagos and Abuja conference. Thank you for speaking with us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
Right.
I hope you guys will come for the event.
Oh, sure. Hopefully, we'll work towards it.
Just go to our website.
Okay, to get more information.
Yes,
Right. Fabulous.
Tranta-it.com.
All right, fabulous. Thank you very much once again.